Welcome back everybody, how are we doing? My name is Steve and today is going to be a full comprehensive review of the Google Pixel 10 Pro. I've got this lovely case on it and I had this now for a little while and I am going to be comparing it to my iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now the reason I'm going to do that is because I have the latest iOS 26 on my iPhone and we have the latest smooth looking, let me get this brightness up, it keeps, because I've got adaptive brightness on, just so you can see the quality of that 3300 nits screen, and we're going to do a full comparison on it. Now I'm going to do front and back video, so you're going to need to buckle in for this one. So I'm going to do front and back video. I'm going to do the front and the back, and I'm going to do the same on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, so you can get a comparison on a 2-year-old device and the brand new Google Pixel. I'm also going to tell you now, if you want the tech spurt of the Tensor G5 and the thermal static heating crap, right? I'm not here that, right? You know, I do tech reviews and I tell you no crap, straight up. Is this going to do what I need it to do? Is it going to work for me how I need it to work? Will it fit into my life? And can I finally maybe get rid of the iPhone and work within the Apple ecosystem, because most of my products are Apple and I have been an iPhone user since the Apple One, believe it or not. I have dabbled with Android before, I've had Pixel before, even tried the Samsung, but everyone who's been reviewing this handset tells me it is a simple process and they've made it so iPhone-like that it's an easy step to take to go to this device. So buckle up, here is my review, let's see where it takes us. So here's both phones close together. We have the iPhone 15 Pro Max and we have the new Google Pixel 10 Pro. Now these are the lock screens. This is running iOS 26 and this is running the latest. They're both running, at the time of shooting this video, they're both running the latest versions of their software, iOS 26, Android 16, latest revision. And as you can see, these are the lock screens. Now I've both got these connected to a snap stand. So you can see that the Google Snap and the MagSafe for Apple works perfectly well. As you can see here, it looks nice and easy. Now the difference here is obviously with Apple, we swipe up and it uses Face ID and it's straight in. And also with Google, we also have, if we click, Face ID logs straight in, but it also has, if we just show there, just for those who didn't know, fingerprint and log straight in. Now, as you can see, both operating systems, they're very, very similar. You want to get to all your apps on iPhone, you swipe all the way there, and then it's grouped in these type of things here. You want to get all to your apps on here, you just swipe up and they're all there. Everything you need. Now, if you go to the right on iPhone, iOS 26, you can see that there's all your bits there and you can get to your news. If you do that on the Google, you get to the Google News feed and you can see everything you need to see there. All looks very, very similar. Same again, we can long press and we can go to edit and we can customize, we can add widgets. Now, I'm not going to go into the full in-depths of what you can and can't do on each operating system. There's plenty of videos out there that will show you that. What I am going to show you is with the iOS 26 and with the Android, you can see they are very similar, even down to, let me just show you now, if I just double click on the side of the Android, oops, and it's come off the snap, you can see that I get to my banking, and if I do the same on the iPhone, I get to my banking. Now, the difference being on this is everything in my wallet, as you can see here, is there. All in that one double click, I'm there. However, with Android, I have to click in the open wallet button. So there's an extra click if I want to get to those passes. So I have to go into the wallet, where it was with Apple, it's just a double click. That was the first thing. Now, it's not a big deal because it is just literally double click, oops, double click, and then open wallet, you're there, right? Whereas with Apple, it's just a double click and you're there. Secondly, let me open up Instagram on both of these phones. And you can see they're both for snapping. Now, remember, this is an iPhone 15 Pro Max. This is a Google Pixel. That's Britney Spears doing her thing. Now watch when I show you the scrolling on iPhone. That, now I do believe, someone did tell me the other day that this has been patented by Apple. That smoothness, and you can go fast if you want to, like this, but the smoothness, that I really like. However, on Google, it's just a little bit, see how that stops? So if I do both at the same time, go all the way back down, ready? See how Apple comes to that slow. I just prefer the way Apple do that. I just prefer the way Apple do that. Also, as well, if I'm locking on if I lock the screen and then I open the screen, that's the animation that you get. If I do this on the iPhone and then open the screen, do you see the way that all kind of loads in? I just like the way they do it. Again, with the Android, if I bring down, I get that. If I bring down again, I get that. Now I've got all of my stuff there and I can do my bits and pieces there. And I can click on that and then I can edit. You know, I can make that and make changes. I can drag, click and hold, drag and drop and put it where I want and go back. And then I am back to my control center. Also as well, I've got whatever I might be playing there. Now with Apple, if I do that, I'm straight into the control center. Again, if I click and hold, it will take me to that. I think I can also click and hold and edit. We can also, it's got different categories. Now, it's kind of personal preference. As you can see, the liquid glass is making it all look kind of nice. We can click on it and make it larger. We've got night shift, darkness, true tone. If we click on that. Now, the other thing I noticed on this over the Android is we just get one volume. Whereas with Android, if I click on the volume and then click on the three dots, we've got media, we've got call, we've got the ring, we've got notification, we've got live caption, and we can go into the settings from there. We can do individual settings on each of these devices, and it works perfectly. That's a really good feature. I like that on that. Also as well, the other thing I think I prefer, believe it or not, is the customization that you can do on wallpaper. Now, obviously with the Android 16, I can click on wallpaper and styles. We can choose some pictures. We can choose more wallpapers. We can choose live effects, and then I can choose a particular picture. Let's go for this one, for example. It will analyze that picture, and I can do it as a shape. I can do it as this. I can also switch on weather, and I can choose it to be foggy. I can choose it to be raining. I can choose it to snow. I can choose it to sunshine, and we can do the intensity of that, or we can just switch it onto the local weather. Also, I can make it cinematic. So when you go cinematic, it takes a second to analyze on Google. If it can, might not be able to do it. It's basically what it will do is it will make it all 3D for you. So you can do all that kind of stuff. So there we go. There you go. It makes it all 3D. So you can scoot that up and down and move it around. So you go, see it all moving around in the background. You can do all that. And the same goes for, now the difference with Apple is you can either do it, you have to do it directly from the lock screen. So you click and hold. And you can customize the lock screen and you can do the same thing. So if I do my two children, for example, I can click on that. I can make it so it's 3D. And you can see the background moving when I move that. I can also drag the time and it goes behind the top. I've got my widgets down here. And also I can change the depth of field. I can do it on tap. I can extend that wallpaper. There's a lot more that I can do with that wallpaper. Let me just change it back to where we were. I've got mine set to the weather. So wherever my local weather is, it will show on that lock screen. So you can see, look, I'm not going to teach you to suck eggs here. Both phones do kind of exactly the same thing. Now, with this one, it keeps dropping down because I've got it to adaptive. Both have adaptive battery now. So they are very, very similar. I have the Google case and I have the Apple case, as you can see here. Sorry about the darkness. Yeah, you can see that I've got the two cases there. The case for the Google, is very smooth, very, very slick. But also, as you can see there, it has the snap. And obviously with the iPhone, as it's always had, it has the MagSafe. Look, both phones do exactly the same thing. There are things that the iPhone does unbelievably better, and there are things that the Google Pixel does really well. Now, obviously, you've got Google Gemini as the smart assistant, and that is really good. Now, I appreciate what other people are saying. Other people say that Google is smart and it's got that new feature that if you're in a text message, it will bring up information about what's going on. Also, the Google call screening, but that now comes with Apple, so you can screen your calls. Like I say, these are like for like. There's not much in it at all. It literally is design. I find that the apps are more, I just find on Apple, there is a more stability than there is on the Google. I find that doing things, like if there's things that I want to do, now because I've always had iPhone, I'm probably used to doing it on iPhone, but I find when I do it with Google, even simple things like if I just want to do, straight away I have got the thing to cut, edit and mark up and share, or I can click to search. So I can actually click on that and then I can continue and then it will go off and find all that stuff for me, right? That goes down there. Now, if I want to do a screenshot with Google, I do the same sort of thing. There's my screenshot there. I open it up. Now, I can't do anything straight away with it. I have to go to the edit. Then I have all these options there. So now I can cut, I can edit, I can do all sorts of stuff. There's magical stuff that you can do, and I don't know whatever this stuff is. But it was like an extra step. So let me just bin that. I don't want it going into my screenshots. And of course, if I click and hold here, I then have that circle to search and it will go off and do the searching for me, right? So it's a very similar experience, just different ways of doing it. Now, there's certain things that I find a little bit easier on this, and there's certain things I find a little bit easier on that. Now, my biggest gripe, now the bit that I am struggling with is on here, when I shoot video, and I mean shoot video, and I'll show you in a second, the sound quality, the picture quality, the way it looks is just incredible. And remember, guys, this is an iPhone 15 Pro Max. When I shoot video on this, it's a bit ropey. There's a bit of shake. If I zoom in and out, it's got this weird thing going on. And I'll show you this in a second. It's just not got that capability. This is the Google Pixel 10 Pro native rear camera. So the main shooting camera and the main microphone built into the Pixel. I'm going to walk around so you can see. Again, I'm just going to do like for like what I did before on this, and you can see clearly that this is the Google Pixel 10, and this is the footage and the sound quality that you get. This is the front-facing selfie camera on the Google Pixel 10 Pro with the native microphone, not anything plugged in. I've not done any video boost or anything like that because I don't want to wait 13 hours for it to upload, Google to do its thing, and then come down just to get a half decent video. I'm walking around, and this is the Google Pixel 10 Pro selfie camera working. So right now I am shooting on the Apple iPhone 15 Pro Max, and I'm just using the native phone with the native microphone and the cameras at the rear of the, you know, the main shooting cameras. I'm actually in my office, and as you can see there, that's where I'm shooting. This is what it looks like on this camera, and you can see perfectly how this all looks. And this is the iPhone 15 Pro Max rear view camera. Now, this is the iPhone 15 Pro Max. This is the front facing camera. And as you can see, I'm holding this freehand. I'm using the native mics. Again, you can see I'm still in the same place with the offices behind me, and I'm just shooting this live on the camera with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Photo-wise, it's very good. They both do really good photos. But remember, guys, this is a 15 Pro Max. It's 2-year-old technology. This is brand new. And I have to say that I am someone who likes to shoot video as well as take photos. And the microphones and everything on this, both of these do very good speakers. So the sound quality is really good when you're playing sound. But recording video, The Google just doesn't cut it for me. Now, I'm not saying Samsung does or doesn't, I don't know, whereas this does. Also, as well, once I've finished shooting that video, and it could be a lengthy video, AirDrop to my Mac on this is just seamless. I plugged in my USB cable, switched it to file transfer, and my Mac didn't pick it up. Now, I know with Windows you can do quick share and it will go to that, or I can upload it to my Google Photos, wait for the thing to upload, then re-download it to my MacBook. That's where this one gets you. This is where Apple gets you, right? Is that ecosystem. It all just integrates perfectly. That's where I'm telling you that's the issue that I have. Even down to Android Auto, which I will show you now. So this is Android Auto. So you can see it here. This is what it looks like. I've got it connected to my little wireless dongle down here because in this particular car it's a cabled thing. But yeah, this is the Android Auto. As you can see, everything you need looks like this. So the bit that I want to show you, right? The bit that I can say about. So let me just go to some music, right? So let's just go to Apple Music, for example, and we'll go to the home screen of Apple Music. That's what I get. I get no items. If I go to my library, then I can see a shuffled library. I can go to my playlist. Now, I know that I am used to using Apple CarPlay, right? And I get that. But it just looks very, very basic. It just seems very plain. The only one that I kind of find that has a bit of flair to it, if I click on Spotify, there we go. We have a bit of flair to it, and we can scroll through. And I can go to my library. I can see Spotify's offline at the moment. That's because I'm doing this because whatever, blah blah blah. But I can see all my mixes. You know, the scrolling's pretty quick. I can click on there. I can go to it. I can play that music. I don't want to go too much. Obviously, you've got all the bits that you need. I can also go to Google Maps, as you can see there. There's Google Maps, and it's very, I can zoom in and we can do all that amazing stuff, and we can just recenter. We got all different types. I mean, you can also do messaging. You can do return to messaging, or we can say, "Hey Google."
Something went wrong with the connection.
Yeah.
Try again.
So obviously something wrong with the connection. That's because I don't have any cellular service on the Google phone at the moment. I've removed it for now. But you can see like if I go to there, I go to the full thing, and you can see that, and you can do what you want to do. You can also click on them.
Something went wrong with the connection. Try again.
So you can see how Android Auto looks. Now I am going to switch to Apple CarPlay. So this is Apple CarPlay on Apple iOS 26. I'm hoping you can see that. I hope that the Google phone is doing it justice, because I am recording this on the Google phone. I recorded the other part on the Apple iPhone 15 Pro Max, just to show you the difference. So this is Apple CarPlay iOS 26. As you can see, it's a very similar kind of look and feel to it. If I click on there, you can do, there's ones that's got settings here, like you got on here. We've got appearance, and we can do always dark. If you want to see always dark, it looks like this. Always show dark maps, and then you can see that again, it looks a little bit like this. It's a bit darker. If you want, let me just put that back to automatic. If you want to change the icons, we can go to the clear icons. So we've got the water, and make those auto, and you can see now we have the clear icons. And if we went into something like music in the clear, you can see we get the bit of color there, but it is all kind of the liquid, and you can see how it kind of scrolls through that transparent screen at the top. So they put a lot of effort and thought into this. Let me just go back to settings so we can see some color. Go back to the default. We can also have dark if we wanted to, so we can make it dark and then set that to auto. or we could just set it to that, and there we go, and then it will go dark when it gets dark. Also as well, we have wallpapers, so we've got the new wallpapers that we could change if we really wanted it to set that how you want it, or we could just have some plain colors. I've got mine set to the gold for the minute. We've got display, we've got always a smart zoom, we have Apple Intelligence and Siri, that's got all that, which is all inbuilt, and we've got live activities as well. Now, of course, you get the menu here as opposed to on Android Auto, you get it on the other one. But let me just show you, for example, so if we go to Apple Music, so we now get this nice look and feel, and we get this, can you see how that, let me just zoom in, look how we can just, that nice bubble, right? They've really paid attention here. If I go to a particular genre of music, I've got shuffle, I've got play, or we can go to the now playing, so we can see what we're playing there. It just looks like someone spent a bit of time on this. If I go to Spotify, again, you'll see Spotify's loading. There we go again. We get that nice liquid glass. Please log into Spotify. I've got to log back into Spotify because I've swapped my Sims back over. Oh, there we go. There we go. It's done it. Let me just stop that. So we just stop that there. And there's Spotify, so I can go to my library, I go to my playlists, and there's all my playlists, and I can scroll down, I can go to now playing. But also as well with YouTube Music, and I didn't show you on the other one, but YouTube Music is just like a text file again, like a text thing. There's no kind of graphics or anything like that. It's just taking a second to load because I've just swapped all my Sims back over. Again, you get this nice look, and you can see, look how that stretches over. And it's just, they've just taken a bit of time. If we go to maps, for example, let me go to Apple Maps, and I like Apple Maps. It's nice. I tell you what I like in Apple Maps as well that I can't do in Google Maps is if I'm going to someone's home, I click on that once I've done my, if I'm going somewhere, and then what I can do is, let's say, for example, I'm going to go to Colette's here, and I can, it tells me how long it's going to be, but I can also, it gives me an option to share my journey with Colette or with someone, so they can actually track where I am on that journey. I can't do that even on this one. If I go to Google Maps and show you Google Maps on here, again, you got that nice feeling. We can zoom in, zoom out. Oh, maybe no, we can't zoom in. We could on the Android one. Let me just recenter that. We can turn it around and everything else, but again, I can't, there's nothing I can do on here to share my information with those people. The other thing that I have a little bit of a gripe about when I was using Android Auto is, saying the word Google and just taking forever for it to come up or respond or reply to a message. It really struggles with replying or doing messages. Whereas with Apple, I can say, hey Siri, send a WhatsApp message.
To who?
I'd like to send a WhatsApp message to Colette.
What do you want to say to Colette Candler?
Hey, how you doing? Just doing a test for my video.
Sending, hey, how are you doing? Just doing a test for my video.
And just like that, it's done. It's really easy. And then she'll reply back, and it will give me the option to reply. It'll even read out my messages for me. But it just seems to, I know it's going to be very cliche, it just seems to work. It just seems to do the job. That's what I like about it, and there's plenty of apps there. I've even got my Foot Mob, so I can look at the football scores. As you can see there, we've got all the live commentary. I can even listen to the live commentary. We've got Apple News. I don't know if that works actually. Oh no, it seems to be loading stories. I've even got the news, so I can even do news audio. There's just seems to be, I don't know what the calendar does. Well, there's no events today. It just seems to be more thought out. It just seems to be more thought out in Apple, and it just looks and feels and flows better than it does in Android Auto. And I know they're going to be revamping Android Auto, or at least, I believe, adding Gemini to the mix. But for me, I'm sorry, again, Apple just seems to make it work and do it better. So that is my comprehensive review. Some of you might have said, oh, once an Apple sheep, always an Apple sheep. And look, I'm not disputing, right, that this phone isn't nice, right? I don't know if I showed you, but let me just pop this out. I got it in that one because everyone's getting moonshine. You know me, I don't follow everyone else. Now, I know there's a lot of reviewers out there that you've probably watched, and they'll all tell you this is an amazing phone. The build quality is fantastic. The camera quality is fantastic. You know, the features of this phone are fantastic. I am not disputing that this isn't a lovely phone. Even to hold in the hand, I've not gone for the Pro Max, or not Pro Max, but the XL. You know, the case itself that it comes in, it fits nicely into the case. Look, I'm not disputing this phone. And part of me really wants to keep this phone. Part of me wants to take this phone and get the watch and get the Pixel Buds, whatever they're called. But I am so heavily in that Apple ecosystem, and I could branch out. Look, I'm not made of money. What I've got here is not sponsored or given to me, right? This is all what I've purchased, right? Or got with my own money or whatever else, or contract and sending it back and so forth. And I really so much love this phone. I really wanted it. But there are still aspects that they bring out stuff early and it's a bit flaky, and it can work and maybe it don't work. And I'm guessing with the Pixel drops, it will get better. Apple are always late to the party, and people say they uninnovate. They don't bring it, but they won't bring it unless it works with that Apple flair. I think that's the only way to do it. You know, like the smooth scrolling, the way that everything works. And for me, as a videographer, as a creator that uses video for this YouTube channel and TikTok and Reels, and as much as this does such beautiful pictures, even the zoom function, when I zoom in and out, there's this kind of stutter. The microphone, if I didn't have my Rode plugged in, it's just that little bit. Apple just delivers that, and that's what works for me. And because I have a MacBook, because I have the Ultra, and because I have HomePods, and because I have Apple TV, and when I've on my AirPods and I switch from my Mac to my phone to maybe to answer a call if I don't want to answer it on my Mac, or I switch to my Apple TV, or I switch to my iPad, I don't have to do anything. You see it just all seamlessly slips across. And now with iOS 26, Apple Music, for example, just has that auto mix, and it just sounds incredible. They might not have the Siri AI on Apple, but all the little features that they have with the machine learning that they've been developing for years, and now with the new iPhone, which is coming, by the way. So make sure you hit that subscribe, like, and notification bell, because the new iPhone has been ordered. It is on its way. It's the Pro Max. I will be doing video and all sorts with it and testing that battery life. And the battery life on this, by the way, is a little bit different on how it does it. It's got adaptive battery and only charges to 80%. But I do get all day out of it. I don't use it vigorously. I'm not gaming on this because I'm not a gamer per se. But I have been using the Gemini Professional to do images and stuff like that. And I have been watching TikToks and Reels and Facebooks. And, I've not probably pushed this to its max with the Tensor G5 tip. It is really good, and it does last all day. However, iPhone 15 Pro Max, I'm down to an 85% battery health because I charge it quite a lot, but that still lasts me a day and a bit. But it is the Pro Max. That's it. That's my comprehensive review. Take from it as you will. For me, as an Apple person who is used to Apple and the way things work with Apple, with the Apple Pay, the Apple Health, the way that they integrate everything together seamlessly, and people say, oh, they do that and they get you stuck in that garden. I'm quite happy in this garden. It just works. And for me, that's what I need. The video quality on these phones, the sound quality on these phones. And don't get me wrong, these are really, really good. And you can do a lot of things with it. But Apple, for me, takes that spot. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's kind of helped you And from an Apple's perspective, I'm sure you can go and get an Android's perspective coming over to Apple, who is used to the Android way of doing things. And I got used to this, and I'm used to this, and I like it, and I see the beauty and the stuff that it delivers, but it just doesn't fit quite nicely into my system. And I don't want to be walking around with 2 watches and 2 sets and 2 this and 2 that. I don't want that. And the sound quality and everything that Apple does for me just works. Make sure you hit that subscribe and get ready for the iPhone review.